Welcome to the show From Invisible to In Demand. I'm Kelly Harris, strategist, storyteller, and founder of Kelly Harris Creative. I help women with established service-based businesses simplify their marketing, clarify their message, and attract their next level of clients without doing more, posting more, or burning out. Around here, we believe that story is strategy, clarity creates momentum, and sometimes the smallest shifts create the biggest breakthroughs. Let's dive in. Today, we are going to talk about self-doubt, and we're going to talk about confidence and the cost of hesitation. I understand self-doubt. It's one of those things that we hear those voices in our head so often, and we wonder if we're really meant to do the thing that we're trying to do. So my first thought today is that self-confidence feels protective, but in business and even in life, it's expensive. And today we're going to unpack how confidence is built and not born. The thing I'm reminded about is many years ago, I was on my second or third cruise, and we went to a restaurant, and inside the restaurant, up on the ceiling, was an old sign that said, "Experience is the thing that you get after you need it. And you get it after you do the thing." And confidence is kind of the same way. Confidence is not something that we can pick up at Walmart or grab on Amazon. It is one of those things that it's momentum that's built through action. And the confidence barrier is usually hesitation that is described as responsibility. So my question to you is, what is self-doubt actually costing you? Is it costing you stopping and refusing to take action? Is it costing you momentum? Is it costing you actual money because you're not getting clients? Is it costing you time with your kids because you go and you put out a reel for your social media and you do it 5 times because you want it to be perfect, because you need to show a snapshot of what life looks like so that other people will get jealous? I think my big thing with self-doubt is it's such a loaded topic because you want to show up, but right before you hit publish, right before you raise your prices, right before you put on that party for your kids, whatever that is, right before you launch, you hear that whisper that says, "Not enough." The first thing I would say to you is that that whisper is not you. That is something that you have heard over and over again, or something that you've internalized to mean that you're not enough. And you absolutely are enough. I was recently blessed to attend a conference with 32 other incredible women. It wasn't huge, it was intimate, it was intentional. And one of the guest speakers she led a session called Rise Above the Lies. It's the kind of session that hits you in that vulnerable spot in your body, that place where you know something's true before your brain actually catches up. She said one sentence that stopped me. She said, "Confidence isn't something you're missing. It's something that we've been talked out of." And that line just sat with me, because how many of us think that we lack confidence when we've really just inherited doubt and self-doubt? And the truth is, if we really want to get into it, those voices, those doubts that we hear probably aren't even our voices either. One of the best things that you can do when you catch yourself having those thoughts is to slow down and to ask yourself where this thought is coming from. Is it actually a thought that you have, or does it tie to a childhood memory or another memory for that matter? But here's the shift I need you guys to think about, and I need you to take. Confidence is decision speed. Confidence is just saying, what's the next right step? I'm going to take it. Action is going to lead to evidence, and that evidence is going to lead to self-trust. And those 3 pieces are what build authority. I saw a reel this morning that stopped me because it tied into this subject. The reel said there are 4 words that is going to change everything for you. And those 4 words are, I do it anyways. I'm sick, I do it anyways. It's raining, I do it anyways. I'm scared, I do it anyways. And one of the most important lessons in our house came out of my oldest very first scout trip, there were two things that we learned that year, and I'm going to share both of them with you right now. The very first one is rule number one in our house is don't do dumb. And that came out of a canoeing instructor who said, we went down the very first day for the safety day, and he said, rule number one is we don't do dumb. If you are going to be outside, you know you should be wearing sunscreen. And if you choose not to, you choose to do dumb and you will have a sunburn and it's not going to be a good day for you. You know that you need to be drinking water. If you make the choice not to be drinking water, that's a choice and it will have a consequence. If you choose not to wear bug spray and we're out on the lake where there are, in fact, bugs in nature, it will, in fact, have a consequence. And so from that, the rule number one in our house is don't do dumb. And it simply means hedge your bets on the side of safety. If you're going on a camping trip, make sure you have your 10 essentials if you're a scout. And even if you're not, make sure you have your sleeping bag, your food, your place to sleep, a tent, the basic essentials. And so my kids know that when they leave my house, I will always tell them what's rule number one. Rule number one is we don't do dumb. And what's rule number two? Rule number two is failure is part of the process. Because we're going to make mistakes, and that's okay. And if we let that affect us and slow us down, and it will affect our confidence. But if we take those as learning opportunities, our confidence is going to grow, and it's going to grow exponentially. That's the first thing I want you to hear from me. The second thing that I usually ask my children is when they go do something scary, they always know that I'm going to say, I love you. Remember rule number one, don't do dumb. Remember rule number two, failure is part of the process. And when you get back, I will have a question for you. The question is, and will always be, but did you die? And that came out of that same year that my son went to scout camp. He took a skiing merit badge in Oklahoma. Okay. We don't have snow in Oklahoma, especially in July. And what they had done is they had built a ski ramp out of essentially Legos. They weren't really Legos, but that was kind of what they were. They snapped together, and that was what the ramp was built out of. And the kids learned how to ski. Like, how do we hold our feet? How do we get on a lift? How do we fall gracefully? And it was hard. It was really, really hard. And the kids wanted to quit. And as the adults that were with them, we basically had to say, you can if you want to, but before you do, what you need to know is that this doesn't get easier. If you learn these skills and if we go skiing somewhere, this could be a really helpful life lesson. Ultimately, all four of our boys decided to keep moving forward. They decided that it was hard, they decided it sucked, and they decided that it was 3 more days and then they were done and they would never have to do it again. And what came out of that was a conversation where one of the kids said, this is scary. Every time I get up there, my life flashes before my eyes. And I said, oh, Ethan, are you okay? Like, did you die? And he was like, well, I thought I was going to, but they taught us how to fall. And that became one of the themes that week was, but did you die? Because there were other things that the kids were doing. One of the kids was doing rock climbing. My child was doing canoeing. And at one point, he also did paddleboarding out in the middle of the lake and forgot that he was standing on the lake when he got bit by a horsefly and became somewhat legendary for being able to dance on a paddleboard without falling off. But ultimately, even after that, every time they would do something hard, I would say, when you come back, they'd be like, I don't want to do this. It's going to be hard. This is going to be scary. And I'd say, well, when you come back, I have a question for you. And at least once, my oldest came back to me and said, I know what your question's going to be. Your question's going to be, but did you die? And I'm going to tell you right now that my entire life flashed before my eyes. And my response was, okay, well, how do you feel about that? How can I support you there? And he said, that was the scariest thing I've done. And it was amazing. Before we wrap up, I want to connect this back to business for a second. A lot of entrepreneurs think that they have a confidence problem, but most of the time, what they actually have is a clarity problem. When you're not sure who you're talking to, what problem you solve, or what your next step should be, hesitation shows up, and hesitation slows momentum. Confidence grows when you start taking clear action, one step, one decision, one piece of evidence at a time. And I want you to remember that you don't need permission. You need action, because action changes things. If this episode resonated with you and you're ready to stop feeling invisible in your messaging or leadership, I'd love to support you. Each month, I offer a limited number of story strategy audits where we look at your positioning, your messaging, and the gaps between where you are and where you want to go, and the stories that you're telling. You can find the link in the show notes.